Welcome to the Cutting Edge Convention, a worldwide movement to revolutionize your life. No more stumbling around in the dark, wasting precious weeks, months, and years trying to figure it out on your own. Get ready for valuable innovations and strategies. And now, here's your host, Marcie Peters, the Age Backward Mentor.
Hello. Welcome to the Cutting Edge Convention. I'm your host, Marcie Peters, and I'm the one usually doing the interviews as the host. And today I'm actually passing off this job to my friend, David DiGiorgio. And I'm going to have him interview me today, and so that you can learn about me and get to know me. So David, please introduce yourself and then let's get started.
Hey everyone. So once again, I welcome you personally to the Cutting Edge Convention. My name is David DiGiorgio, the unforgettable experienced alchemist and speaker coach. And I am so thrilled. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. I get to interview the amazing, my friend, Marcie Peters. Marcie is a certified holistic health counselor, registered yoga teacher, transformational coach, speaker, and best-selling author. She's known as the Age Backward Mentor, and she graduated from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition and the University of Washington, and she's the best-selling author of Not Broken and How to Age Backward. Who doesn't want more of that? She's also the founder of the healthandhappinessguide.com, and her work has affected thousands of people worldwide. Marcie, it is such a pleasure to have you in my circle of influence and my circle of friends. And, the first thing that when I first met you and I saw this Age Backward Mentor thing, I was like, what's that? I want some of that. So what is that about? Tell us what that's all about.
Yeah, I love this topic. So to me, this is all about being able to show up as your best self, to show up in a way where you believe and embody that you're getting better with age. You're not traditionally aging. You're not breaking down or getting worse or struggling with your memory or your cognitive function or anything like that. You're actually doing the opposite. You're getting better with age because you have more wisdom, more insight, more inner peace, and a better connection with yourself and your body. And so that's what I work with my clients on. It's also really a personal topic for me because when I was sick for all those years, and we're going to get into my story, I felt really old. In my 20s and 30s, I felt really old. And now at 44, I feel better than ever. I feel stronger, more vibrant, more able to create and do in the world what I know I was meant to do, to access my gifts. And that's what I want really for everyone in my community and everyone in the world.
And now, come on now. Did you hear what she just said at 44? I mean, you really meant 34, right? And that's what I'm saying. Like, she truly is the Age Backward Mentor. She is what she says she wants of you. So I think that's awesome. And again, I feel so blessed to have you in my circle. So Marcie, I know you've put so much time and effort into putting this free event on. So why are you doing this? Why create this opportunity for everyone? And why this topic, health, wealth, and happiness? Why is it so near and dear to your heart?
Yeah, great question. Thanks. So really, I wanted to be able to provide everyone in my community, anyone who wants access to this free information, to be able to up-level your health, wealth, and happiness. And those are the three categories that I wanted to focus on. And the reason why is because of my own health struggles. And then also the cutting edge innovative piece of it really has been very instrumental for me in overcoming my struggles and being the best that I can be and creating the life that I want and a life that I love. And so really I wanted to share this with you. It's a big undertaking and it's worth every minute when I get hundreds and hundreds of emails when I've done these events in the past of people who are so happy to be able to access this information, be part of this conversation, to surround themselves with other people and a community that is moving them in the direction that they want. And so I want to be that positive force in the world, and it's really important to me. And to be at the cutting edge of all of it is also really important to me.
I love it. So that's the perfect answer for the bigger why. And so let me ask you this then. Why are you so passionate about what you do?
Yeah, so that's a bigger question for me. I'm passionate because I've personally experienced what it's like to be really sick, what it's like to be so sick that I was stuck in bed, that I had to leave my job and not work, and I was really having a hard time with my health. What happened was when I was in my early 20s, I got really sick and doctors didn't know what was going on. And so after seeing specialists and many, many doctors, they came to the conclusion that I was incurable, and that's the word that they used. And I, for a long time, really did struggle. I wasn't sure where to turn. I tried the suggestions that they offered, which was mostly pharmaceutical drugs. And for 16 years, I led a very compromised life. And I was able to create what I wanted, to turn it around, to reverse it, and to create the health and happiness that I really wanted. And in the process, to find my life purpose. It's been the most amazing thing in the world to be able to work with people who are struggling like myself with their health, or perhaps struggling with weight, energy, cognitive function, to be able to show up the way that they really want to show up, that's important to them, to lead the lives that they dreamed about when they were kids and assumed they would have. And so it is a very personal topic to me. It's a topic that I'm very passionate about. And I've seen these transformations in other people as well as, of course, having it myself. And it's really the most amazing thing in the world. I love what I do. I love getting up in the morning and knowing that I can make a difference for people and, you know, be an entrepreneur and be in charge of my own destiny in that way.
And I think, we've talked about this at great length. And I think what's really so staggering to me about you is that as you recognize when you went through your own transformation, what I think it's important for people to know is that you're still like, it's not like one day all of a sudden you came up with the solution and the cure and everything. You're working with it.
Mm-hmm.
You've made the concerted choice to say, okay, well, if I can't figure it out completely, I'm still going to go and turn the blessing around and help other people while I continue to work on myself at the same time.
Yeah, thanks, David. My health is not 100%. It's not perfect. And then, what is perfect? Perfect is an idea, and it's this concept that means different things to different people. And there are still aspects that I'm working through. And I do view it as a blessing, and most of all, an opportunity to learn more, to understand more about myself, and to tap into what's important and to choose to be happy. I think at the end of the day, the growth opportunity is that we can all choose to be happy no matter what the situation is. So often we assume that we need a situation, we need those external things in order to be happy. In other words, I need to be healthy, I need to feel good in my body all the time, I need to have a certain lifestyle, a certain amount of money, and that sort of thing. And that's not actually true. Happiness is a choice, and I know we're going to talk about this today. It's the subject that I'm most passionate about, in addition to health and nutrition and all of those things, which I really view is also foundational. But that choice is really pivotal, and you get to choose. At the end of the day, you get to choose to embrace happiness and to bring that into your life, no matter what your life looks like.
Well, and I love that you've chosen to turn it around and serve others in health, wealth, and happiness through this convention itself and through the work that you do with other people. And so in all the people that you've worked with over the years, what have you found is the thing that people want the most in life, more than anything else? What seems to come up the most?
Yeah, so what people usually say is that they want to be happy. They want to be happy. And that comes up a lot over and over again with my clients and the people who come to me and seek me out, is they say, I want to be happy. And then they say, I'm struggling with this, this, and this. Usually health, relationships, career, prosperity, something like that. Money comes up a lot, but they want to be happy. And that's kind of the underlying thing. And what's interesting, and here's a little bit of psychology, is there are two things that get in the way of us naturally being happy. So it makes it a little more challenging and a little more complicated, but awareness is really important. When we have this conversation about transformation, having awareness is really the first step in starting to make changes. So there are two things that get in the way of us just naturally and easily having happiness. And the first one is a negative bias. We have a negative bias to look for things that aren't working in our lives, that are not going right. And the reason why is survival. Because as a species, and actually all living things are geared to want to survive at all costs. So at the cost of happiness and health and self-care and, all of these things that we're having these conversations about now, we have a negative bias to look for things that are not working in our lives and to focus on those things. And if we're not aware of it, by focusing on those things, it actually really interferes with our ability to be happy. So simply knowing that your brain will automatically go to things that aren't working is really powerful, because then you can shift that and you can choose and make it into a choice. The second thing that interferes with us being happy and our stated desire to be happy is that our ego wants to be right. So we have this mind, which is part of our brain. It's our conscious mind and our unconscious, both together, wants to be right. Wants to be able to say, I told you so. See, I couldn't stick with that diet, or, no one likes me, right? Relationships don't work out, or whenever I have money, I lose it. Whatever that thing that we're telling ourselves is, we don't necessarily want it, but our ego wants to be right and gets a certain satisfaction from being right. And I'm sure you've experienced this in your life, where you don't want something, but then when it happens, you can say, well, see, things don't work out for me like they do for other people, or whatever that message is. So those are two main things that really interfere with being happy, even though that's our stated desire. So I wanted to bring that up front, just again, as awareness, so that we know there are certain factors working against us, and we can get them working for us. We can be aware that we have this negative bias, this survival instinct, and with the being right, we can actually turn it around in our favor to say, see, things work out for me. See, I get parking spots right up front, and, see, people are drawn to me, and money comes to me, and, things work out for me, and you can turn those thoughts around, which is a conscious choice.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, the whole idea of choice, like I can choose to go to the negative side, or I can choose to have an ego, or choose to be right. And what I choose to be right about is so powerful and empowering when you really recognize that. I've done a lot of work with the ego and the righteousness as well. And one of the things that I love to work with too is the whole concept of like, do I want to be right, or do I want results? Do I want to be right, or do I want freedom? You know what I mean? And as soon as and it's kind of the same thing. It just offers the choice. It's like, well, no, we all want freedom. We all want happiness,
and in relationships, do I want to be right, or do I want to create more love in the relationship?
Exactly. Yeah. And usually when you can frame it that way and create that state change and that opportunity to recognize that, the right always loses. Like being right seems like ridiculous then in that point. Like, do I want to be right, or do I want to stay in my relationship and, like make it work because I'm really committed to it, if it's the right thing for you, right? Like,
and that's an awareness, just being aware that your ego is going to want to go to being right and making a different choice.
Yeah, I love that. So you talk about this concept called the happiness trap. What is the happiness trap?
Yeah, I've been talking about this for the last couple of years. And the happiness trap is this idea, again, our unquestioned thoughts, it's easy to assume that they're right. And when we question them, we can see that there's some issues there. So the happiness trap is something I think that's built into all of us that says, I'll be happy when. And then you can fill in the blank. It can be about money. It can be about love and relationships. It can be about your weight. It can be about your health and the amount of energy you have and how productive you can be. Literally, there's probably thousands of ways you can end that sentence. But basically, you're delaying your happiness to when you lose the weight or get the promotion or have more money or can take a vacation. What about being happy now? And that's, again, a choice. And so I'm bringing this to your consciousness because when we say it out loud, it's like, of course, I would choose to be happy now. I don't want to wait until something that may or may not even happen. And I don't want to make my happiness dependent on the external circumstances, which is what it is. I'll be happy when something else happens, something that you don't have total control over, especially if it has to do with someone else and that person making a decision or many people making a decision about your life. Mm-hmm. So that's the trap. And the solution to that is to choose to be happy now. I'll be happy now. And what happens, it's really neat because what happens is when you're in that vibration of happiness, which, a vibration is energy and we're all energy and everyone around you can feel the energetic vibration that you're in. And happiness and love are some of the highest vibrations. So when you're in that happiness, joy state, then things do happen more naturally and easily. People are drawn to you. You get opportunities. You create opportunities because of how you're showing up, how you're being. Not necessarily what you're doing. Action is part of it. But how you're being and how you're showing up can actually manifest people coming to you and saying, hey, I have this opportunity. Would you like to get up on stage and speak? Or, whatever it is. And so it's more likely that you'll be able to draw that in anyway, but you're already choosing to be happy and it's not dependent on the external things. And then those things can be icing on the cake. Those things can just be something that gets added to your happiness that's already there. And so at first it might seem like a bit of an act. It might seem like fake it till you make it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just showing up and smiling and engaging and laughing and letting yourself feel those moments of joy, letting yourself look around at nature and say, wow, this is amazing. I have so much to be grateful for, and letting yourself get into that state. And then if you do it often enough, it will become habitual. And so you can have a gratitude journal. You can do other tools like that will shift your focus to where you can realize, I really do have reason to be happy. It's not fake. And then that just brings in more happiness, but you're creating it from the inside out so that it's more stable. Those external things really are very unstable because you get the promotion and you can lose it, or the company can go under and that's the end of your job. So it's a very unstable way to live.
Yeah, it's so funny. In my work with speakers, often, there's two kinds of speakers. There's a speaker that says, I already know how to speak and what I speak about. And then there's the speakers like, oh, when I do this, I will be able to speak on that. And I'm like, so my tagline in my business is actually, you're ready to be unforgettable. You're ready now to do it. And, it really breaks the model of like how we live our life of we have to do something to have something to be it. Rather, like, let's flip it on its head and be it so that we can have it and do things, like, just like you said, you get opportunities when you show up a certain way, and your way of being is that of choosing to be in the moment, whatever you want, happy, fulfilled. Things just start to happen. And it really has transformed my life over the last several years. And most recently, even just this year in my own business, as I've decided like, no, I am successful right now. Well, then the success follows. It's like it's magnetic attraction, right? It's been really cool to experience that.
Yeah, and I've seen it in your life too, as an observer.
So the title of this entire interview is about the 6 ways to cultivate joy and being happy now. So let's talk about that. What are the 6 ways to cultivate joy?
Yeah, so in my work over the years and working with myself and all my clients and my community and the people who come to me, what I've done is I've put it into 6 categories, six tools, 6 things to be aware of that can really help create an up level and counteract this negative bias and this being right and this ego mind and so forth. And the first thing is personal responsibility. This is a really personal topic for me. When I was sick for all those years, I really was looking for someone to fix me. I really wanted the doctors to give me a magic pill. I wanted, I was putting the responsibility for my health and happiness into other people's hands, and it's an inside job. And so this is great news because it's very empowering, is that it all starts with you. That saying, if it is to be, it's up to me. And it's true. It starts with you. And first of all, for you just to recognize that your internal or your external experience is a result of your internal landscape. So whatever is going on for you, the thoughts that you're telling yourself habitually, the beliefs that you have is going to be reflected on the outside in some capacity. And sometimes it's a mirror, someone showing up to show you how you're being or how you can shift, or a part of yourself, a shadow part of yourself. But in any case, we get to stand in our own power, and standing in that power means taking responsibility for what's going on in your life, and also how you're showing up. So this idea of personal responsibility is really important. It's the foundational piece. For me, I really had to step into that. I didn't have to, it's a choice, but I chose to at a certain point step into that and say, no one else is going to fix me. I get to do that for myself. I get to find the tools. I get to educate myself. I get to change my behaviors and my actions and do a complete overhaul of the things that I've been doing, because those things are not working. And it's no one else's responsibility to do that or to tell me to do that necessarily. I can gather the information and then check in with myself and take the action. So it's a love-hate relationship for me still, this personal responsibility, because it still comes up sometimes. And I think whenever you're up-leveling yourself in life, you get confronted again with wanting to pass that off. And the opportunity is always there to step back into personal responsibility, back into knowing that what you're creating in your life has to do with how you're showing up, has to do with, you being able to stand in that personal power.
It's so interesting with personal responsibility. We both, I know this for a fact, have done work on integrity recently. And, a lot of us simply don't realize that we're out of integrity with ourselves first. And, there's nothing punitive about this whole process, but when we can recognize that we're not being responsible to ourselves, and when we're not even being responsible to ourselves with our health, with our wealth, with our happiness, how could we possibly be responsible to our loved ones, our families, our friends, our business associates, our clients even, and sometimes, when you approach this from the beginning, it's almost like we get our backs up about it, because we think, well, what do you mean I'm not in integrity? I'm out of integrity? Because it's kind of a big statement to say, hey, you need to take personal responsibility. But when you really look at it, so many of us fall out of personal responsibility and integrity with ourselves so easily. It's insidious. We don't even notice when it's happening anymore. And I think, you really hit it on the head when you can own that and choose to be responsible about your own integrity. Everything really changes in your life. And what's interesting is the result of that automatically, without actually doing anything more, is more joy, because there's just space for it.
Yeah. So again, it goes back to awareness, recognizing when you're giving your personal power away to other people, which shows up like, I want you to make me happy. I want you, doctor and medical community, to make me healthy. And then realizing, creating that awareness and saying, okay, it is not your responsibility. is my responsibility and only my responsibility to make me happy, to create health, to create financial abundance, whatever it is. And the people in my life and all, everything else can be the icing on the cake, can add to that happiness. But I have a baseline that I'm creating for myself. So one thing you can ask is, when something shows up, how did I create this? And not in a blaming way. So it's never about blaming or judgment. It's just simply, how did I create this? What can I learn from this? And what stories am I telling myself that might also be perpetuating this experience?
Yeah, what I love about that is that it also suggests and empowers us into our intrinsic creative selves, that we are the creators.
Mm-hmm.
And that is an intrinsic quality, not something that we learn from out there, that we are, the fact that we're here is a miracle. Mm-hmm. And so I look at everybody as a miracle. Like, the cells and how it all works, it's staggering. And if you can accept that to begin with, all of a sudden it's like, well, wow, what else can I create if I'm this like amazing piece of machinery, technology, biology, it's so cool. So, that must be amazing to be able to witness that in your clients. So what kind of transformations have you seen as you do this work with some of your clients?
Oh my gosh, I've seen so many things. It just, it really touches my heart. I've seen people basically change their whole lives. And so we usually start with something health related. Oftentimes it's nutrition. There's a mindset shift because mindset impacts everything. And so I've literally seen people go from 18 years chronically debilitated and being really, really chronically ill, to having energy, being able to get out and do things, create better relationships, starting to go back to school and get back into some of their passions, and be able to return to work. And so, I've seen women who are really struggling with their body image and how they feel about themselves, return to confidence and not just a superficial confidence, the confidence from the inside, confidence that comes from loving yourself and accepting yourself. And we're going to talk about some of these principles too, because it all goes hand in hand. And that's the most rewarding thing to me, when I can see someone who's empowered. And yes, there are those people who come to me and say, I want to lose the last 10 pounds, or I want to lose weight. And they do, but it's that inner work. And I try and combine the strategies and the inner work together. And it's really powerful. And that's what creates lasting transformation, and not a quick fix that will revert back at some point.
Yeah, I love that. That whole, again, it comes back to the intrinsic, that you're helping people. Despite you being on the outside, what you do is you really like open the hood and you help them to really repair, restore, return to their best selves, the blueprint that they were meant to actually be. Mm-hmm. And that's something I think that has always attracted me to you from the beginning. And I know that your clients are so blessed to have you in their life. And I can't even imagine, like, what you help people really step into is so, so inspiring.
Thank you, David.
So I'm in, sign me up. What are the different ways that you work with people? Because it's not just like, you're not just a health coach and you're not just a mindset coach. There's a few different options, right?
Yeah,
so how does that work, right?
It's everything. But would you mind if we go through the others? So we did the first one, which was that personal responsibility piece. Yes. I want to do the other 5 first, so that we can kind of go through that. So the second one is acceptance. So acceptance is a bigger topic. There's body acceptance, there's self-acceptance, and on a bigger level, there's acceptance of this moment. So Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about this, and I'm a big fan. And he calls it being an inner yes to this moment. Because if you're resisting this moment and what's happening now, what is, then that's going to create suffering for yourself, which is the opposite of the happiness that we say we want. And so acceptance has to do with being present. being conscious and aware. Like we're here right now having a conversation and being fully present, not being distracted, letting both of us, letting ourselves really partake and really be immersed in this experience. And it also has to do with gratitude. Sometimes it has to do with surrender, with just letting go of what we think. So instead of coming into a conversation with your own conversation already going, your own ideas about things coming in fresh, and really letting yourself experience what's happening right here and right now. And so this is where, meditation, yoga, some of these tools and practices can start conditioning us. And we can do it in everyday life. We can show up and be present in everyday life. So it's like a walking meditation. We don't have our eyes closed and we're not internalized, but we're showing up present. And actually, here's the cool thing. This is what people want in relationships, whether it's someone you see at the grocery store or a casual relationship or a friendship or a deeper relationship. They want that presence. And that's what leads to a sense of fulfillment and satisfaction, is feeling like someone is really present with you and really hearing you and seeing you and understanding you. And you can start to turn that inward. So that's the next one I'm going to talk about, which is what I call the primary relationship. The primary relationship, number 3, is the relationship with yourself. Everything in the world ripples out from the relationship that you're having with yourself. So it's easy to overlook and bypass the relationship with yourself and focus on relationships with other people and projects and things you're doing externally. But what about yourself? Any relationship that doesn't get time spent together, doesn't get quality, that doesn't create that trust and that reliability and dependability and that integrity that you talked about, doing what you say you're going to do, is going to suffer. And the same goes for the relationship with yourself. So part of the acceptance piece is accepting yourself, accepting your body exactly as you are, accepting your shadow side, accepting your demons, accepting that there are parts of yourself that you may not like, and we all have that, and coming to love those parts, because you can't love yourself unless you love all parts of yourself. You can't be selective and say, well, I love 50% of myself. That's not love. You have this, especially unconditional love, is you love all parts of yourself. And that's a process. And that's something, we're all here getting to cultivate over time. So the acceptance of the moment is kind of like an entry point, and then starting to really accept yourself. And gratitude is part of that. And also knowing that in acceptance and surrender, you're not giving up and you're not saying, I'm not still going to try and be better and create, more health, wealth, and happiness. You absolutely can do that, but the starting point is acceptance. I see this again and again. This is really pivotal. If you just walk away with one idea from today, this is the piece that people have told me over and over again really resonates. And that is, if you want to make changes in your life, whether it's lose weight, have more energy, be more productive, make more money, find a relationship, whatever it is, coming from a place of, I am doing it because I love myself so much. I want to better myself, and I'm willing to better myself, and I'm willing to put the time and effort into it because I want to honor myself. I want to honor this precious life that I have on the earth and really make the most of it. And I'm not doing it because I'm deficient or broken or flawed, which, no one's perfect. But if you come from that place of deficiency, I'm not good enough, I have to lose weight, or else I won't have love, or I have to do this, or else I won't have the money, then you're automatically coming from a place of scarcity. You're not setting yourself up for success. If you can come from that place of, You know, I really just want to do right by myself because I care about myself. Then that changes everything. And it turns it into a different energy. If you think about need to, have to, should, it's a certain energy, it's that heavy energy. But if you come from a place of, you know, I really want to do this, I'm going to do it, I'm excited about it, and I'm looking forward to creating something better for myself. And I accept myself as I am right now at starting point. I'm doing it because I love myself, not because I need to change or I need to be different.
I love that. So, okay, so primary relationship, acceptance, and personal responsibility.
Yes.
Those are the first three.
Yes.
Okay.
And that primary relationship piece of it is really the biggest piece. It's that biggest piece that we get to work with. And, you know, we're going to be working with our entire lives is growing that trust and strengthening it, showing up for ourselves again and again, doing what we say we're going to do, having integrity, being in alignment. And that means being out of alignment so that we can see the contrast and the difference, you know, and having those failures, which is just information, so that we can say, you know, that felt really bad when I did that, when I said that, that felt really bad, and I'm not going to do it again. And maybe I'll make some amends or do something, but at the very least, I'm not going to do it again because it didn't feel good to me. And I want to feel in alignment. I want to feel like I'm doing things that are really representative of me. I'm showing up as the best version of myself, and that's a process. You know, and we do it some, and then sometimes there's a back step and then a forward step again. So let that be a process. I always like to say too, this is a marathon, not a race. You know, this is a process, and the journey is its own result, its own reward. The journey is its own reward, not the ending point, because the ending point really is death or perhaps even beyond. And so there's no reason to rush to get there. It's that journey.
Yeah, and I think using that personal relationship as the blueprint and working on that personal relationship. If you don't have a great relationship with yourself, how could we possibly have any other amazing relationships, right? Like it's a domino effect.
Everything ripples out from how you're talking to yourself, how you're treating yourself, how you're showing up for yourself or not. Everything ripples out from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so don't hold out on us. Three more ways to cultivate joy.
Yeah, so number 4 is pleasure, joy, and fun.
Oh, I love it. I love
this one. And David, you know me, you know, pretty well at this point, and you've seen me on my hoverboard. I think you've probably seen me doing cartwheels and handstands and skipping and, you know, the things that I do. So the idea is that you can weave pleasure, joy, and fun into your everyday life throughout the day. It doesn't have to be big. It can be something really small. It can be, you know, sharing a joke or laughing at a funny video, or expression. You know, self-expression is so amazing and so healing and powerful. I taught my yoga classes last night, and I brought my hoverboard to class, and in between the two classes, I was kind of riding it around and just, you know, expressing that joy because it's fun for me. And when you're in a place of joy, again, this is a very high vibration energy, then other people can pick up on it too, and it affects them. And so it's about you, but there is a ripple effect too. Also taking pleasure, you know, when we're doing the yoga poses and the stretches or whatever it is that you're doing in life, like in yoga, there's physical pleasure, and in other things in life, there's other types of pleasure, and just allowing that pleasure, allowing yourself to really be in that state of pleasure, going back to being present, and to just immerse yourself in it. And so, you know, finding those ways to create these moments, even if it's just a small moment where it becomes habitual and you let yourself access that joy, which I believe love, joy, and abundance is our natural state. And then, you know, we have these things that happen in these layers and this negative bias and, you know, these other things going on. but we can go back to that state. Our natural state is there for us and available.
You know, it's so funny because just recently I started to implement the notion of celebration into my business and life in a very intentional way.
Mm-hmm.
And I celebrate everything. In
Yeah.
fact, I make it mandatory for my clients, even when, like, recently I did a video shoot, and every time that we had to do another take, I said, okay, at the end of each take, you can only celebrate. You cannot be punitive to yourself.
Ah, I love it.
Right. And it just changed everything, right? Because it's no longer you're afraid to make a mistake. It's more like I'm just excited to carry on and move forward and get better and have fun and just enjoy it, right? And it really has, the more I've increased the celebration, the joy, the pleasure, and the fun in my life, and I do it simply by just like even just shaking my butt a little bit,
Yeah.
moving my hips around. It's so simple, right?
Totally.
Has equated directly, believe it or not, to the amount of money that I've been generating in my business. And I'm like, I wouldn't believe it if I didn't do it myself. And I'm just going to try it. So much so that my husband even said to me, like on the way to work in the morning, it's like, what should I do if I feel stuck? And I'm like, oh, you need to walk through a doorway like a rock star, or you need to shake your butt a little bit, or, you know, like whatever. And, it's silly, but it all works. So that's a big one. Celebration, pleasure, joy, and fun. I love it.
Yeah, and if you've seen the outtakes for the video for this event, which by the way, David directed and helped me write the script, and he did an amazing job. Highly recommend. You saw, that whenever we were in between scenes, I was just like dancing and laughing, and and it was really fun. It was a 6.5-hour shoot, which was a long day, and it was really cold outside. And it was a lot of fun. We made it fun.
Right. And I think the result really shows is that, you said it yourself, and I really believe it's definitely one of your best videos that you've ever done. And you're just you're in your power, you're authentic, you show up, the primary relationship that you display with yourself there, and just to have fun with those at the end of the takes and stuff like that. I mean, and to put them out there for the world to see. I mean, that's just amazing. I love it. I love all of it.
I look like a little bit of a retard in some of them, but I don't care. I mean, I'm just spazzy and just letting it out. And so,
in a long day and when it's cold, like that's just the way you keep it going, right? So
kept moving.
Absolutely. All right. So what comes after pleasure, joy, and fun?
Okay, so then we have connection, those relationships in our lives that are so important, that give us fulfillment and satisfaction. And connection comes in the form of friends, social support, also mentors, ways that we can up-level who you surround yourself. It's so, so important. And that adds to your happiness or can detract from it. So really allowing yourself to be around people and to support and be supported, so that it's a give-take relationship. It's not just always giving or receiving, but you're actually showing up for other people and you're receiving. You're allowing something as small as a compliment or asking for help. If you have a project or you need to move, you need help packing, or something's coming up for you, you need a shoulder to cry on, or whatever it is, actually being willing to ask for that support and to receive it as well. Or maybe it's just a smile from a stranger, or you see someone and you ask for a hug, because that would make a difference in your day. So these connections and these social supports cannot be overlooked. They're really, really important. And then ideally you have mentoring too, so that you're also, whether it's mentoring, life coaching, or personal direction, or perhaps it's a fitness goal that you have, or a health goal, or something with your business, if you have a business, or even if you have someone in your company that you can look up to, that you can learn from, so that you can keep moving forward and you have ideas. Now, of course, you're going to run these ideas past your own inner wisdom and check in and make sure it's in alignment, but to keep moving forward and to feel supported along the way and feel connected. Those connections are just so powerful. And so for me this year, I am part of a women's group, a women's entrepreneur group, and there's 8 of us here locally, and we all are really doing big things in the world. And we all came together realizing, we want that support in our lives. We want to be part of each other's lives, and not just in business sense, but to actually create that support and create the container for that support. So we meet twice a month and we have an ongoing conversation, and it's really magical. And I can see all the women in the group, myself included, are up leveling because of, being able to get that insight into other people's lives that normally they're tucked away and you don't really see, and knowing also that you're not alone.
Yeah, I have a friend right now who is feeling stuck in their life, and they've acknowledged and recognized that the solution will be, if I could only surround myself with people who will lift me up. Because my current circle of people, they just hold me down. I mean, talk about self-awareness, and so they're really making that shift now into like, I'm going to choose intentionally who I connect with. And, along the same lines, I'm part of a small digital mastermind. We're all in different locations. There's 4 of us, and I've been doing that for about 2 months now. And it's the same thing. Like, we're all connecting each other with amazing people, and we're all like raising up at the same time. And it's not like we're doing anything specific it's a 30-minute call every week that we get on. And it's really magical what happens when you are intentional with how you connect with other people and say, okay, we want to support each other in being awesome in whatever way that it is. And so that's really good connection. And, just the realization we cannot do it alone. As much as we try, can't.
And as high achievers, often you don't ask for, it just becomes habitual to not ask for support or help because it feels weak. And actually, it's really a strong person who says, I've tried to do this myself and I'm struggling, would one of you be able to step in? So for instance, one of the gals in the group has a baby and she's pregnant too. And so there have been times when she said, my nanny can't make it. Could someone come by for 2 hours? And inevitably, one of us shows up for her and she gets her needs met, or someone else needed a carpool. Also, the pregnant gal, for her birthday, we gave her a massage. All of us, just gave her that nice relaxing massage. So, just allowing yourself to receive is so powerful. And especially as women, and for anyone, but as women, receiving is a feminine quality. And so just, we're givers and nurturers and want to be doing things for people, but allowing yourself to have the other side too, so that it feels more balanced.
Right. And the biggest demonstration of courage is actually vulnerability. They really do go hand in hand. And if you want to be courageous, be vulnerable and get your needs met and ask, and people will come.
Someone said to me, really quickly, someone said to me the other, I was saying, I don't get, like, they were doing a massage and I'm like, I don't get touched that often. And they're like, so the solution to that, don't you? And I was like, what? And they're like, ask for it.
It's so simple,
ask
right?
for it.
You're like, oh gosh, so simple. But we don't. We're so afraid to ask because we're like taking away, or it's needy, or it's just ask for it. Absolutely.
So David, will you rub my neck later when I see you?
Absolutely. Yes, of course. Let's put it on the calendar. Okay, so we've got 5. We've got our personal responsibility, acceptance, primary relationships, pleasure, joy, and fun, and connection. And the last piece of the puzzle?
The last piece is purpose. Purpose, and then passion goes hand in hand with that. But purpose, really feeling connected to your gifts in the world. And so there's inner purpose and outer purpose. Inner purpose has to do with the evolutionary path that we're all on, that growing, that primary relationship, that being present and not being multitasking so that you miss your own life. So inner purpose is actually so important that it can feed outer purpose and strengthen outer purpose. So outer purpose is what we all know, which is, like I was sick for 16 years and I passionately want for other people not to have to struggle as much as I did and for as long as I did, because I know there's a better way. And that's my purpose, and I'm passionate about it, and, you know, making a difference however I can make. And that's continually growing and evolving too. And the inner purpose we all have, which is to be present in this moment, be present with ourselves, to accept, to surrender, to be aware so that we can recognize those growth opportunities and keep evolving. So not just getting hung up on what is my outer purpose in life. In other words, the way that I'm going to make money or the way that I'm going to show up externally in action, but who am I being? And that's inner purpose. And so bringing those two together so that there's a balance there, and it's not just all one or all the other, but you're really having both.
I love that. You know, one of the ways I used to describe it to, because I worked with high school students for a long time, 10 years in a performing arts department, I said, it's not like, stop looking for your purpose out there.
Yeah.
Instead, just be on purpose. And when you're on purpose and you're acting intentionally, as you said, that's exactly what it is. It's your way of being, is your purpose. Mm-hmm. And you choose it. And then the beautiful part about it is that when you're on purpose, you're impassioned. Yeah. And when you're impassioned, it's almost like all the other things start to happen. Mm-hmm. The healthy connections, pleasure, joy, and fun are just a byproduct of being mm-hmm. on purpose and impassioned. That the primary relationship with yourself automatically starts to heal and repair and return to the blueprint that it is, just by being on purpose. It's so simple, and you can accept yourself and you have that personal story. Like it really is a chain link effect.
Yeah. And I really see all 6 of these things as any one of them can be an entry point. So you can start with one, and that can be your entry. And then, you know, it can start to have a ripple effect to these other things, still bringing them in consciously. But yeah, once you start getting one of them tapped in, then it's easier to access all of them. And then they all start to flow together and overlap. Really cool. So
that's how you work with your clients, technically. Yes. Is that you meet them where they're at, and it could be at any of these 6 points. And then so ultimately, do you work on all of it?
Yeah, a lot of times we're starting with nutrition and mindset. So I'm starting from a place of what's going on for you and versus where do you want to be. And let's talk about what's going on behind the scenes. So if there's an eating situation or a food disorder situation, that's not the problem. If you're overweight, that is not the problem. There is something going on behind the scenes, and let's figure out what is really happening and what you're not getting that you're using food for instead. And in really digging deeper. And sometimes that has to do with childhood. It has to do with messages and beliefs that were created from the messages that were heard as a child. And it could be something really casual, said in passing, or something that was said a lot, especially by parents, or something that was picked up maybe later. And so working with that and creating that awareness, because that's so powerful. You can't shift or change something that you're not really aware of what's going on behind the scenes. The behind the scenes is the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind is about 92% of our mind. We have about 8% conscious for most people, and everything else is like automatic. It's like the operating system running in the background, which is just going without you being aware of it. So bringing some awareness to that and starting to understand. And I role model the unconditional love and acceptance for my clients, because many of us have never had that, have never really felt truly seen and heard and understood and accepted exactly as you are, without needing to do anything different or change, but exactly as you are. And once you experience that, someone being that way with you, then it's easier to start to cultivate it yourself, because you know what it feels like and what it looks like.
So I imagine then that the transformations that you get to help people with are even more profound, because, you know, someone who comes to you and says, well, hey, I want to lose X amount of weight or whatever, and they get that, but then they also get this entire like system upgrade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's never just about the health stuff or the weight, because those are just the external things that are going on. there's always some deeper things, which it's amazing what comes out and what insights. And then, you know, once you start to know yourself and know what's going on, then you have more opportunities to love yourself, and you have more of a chance to really understand and accept yourself. It's amazing. And so entire lives change, not just the weight loss and the energy, but relationships, promotions, starting their own businesses. I've had a lot of clients decide to be coaches after they worked with me because they realized, you know, this work is really important and I want to be part of it.
I think it's so amazing, and I want to acknowledge the fact that you are not fixing problems or filling the gap. You're actually like, you're helping people, you're supporting them in rewriting and upgrading their operating system.
Yeah, there is some strategizing, but the strategizing is a lot less than you would think. And naturally there is some of that, but yeah, really most of the work is on a much deeper level, because what happens is when that inner work is taking place and those awarenesses are happening and those shifts and the up leveling with your primary relationship, then the behaviors and the actions will naturally align with this new perspective and this new paradigm. So the strategy becomes a smaller piece of it.
And the transformation, I imagine, is not only deeper, but it's longer lasting.
Absolutely. Yeah. My clients, I've seen them go for years and they're just getting better and better. So not only are they changes that don't get regressed, but they're just continuing to be happier, be healthier, love their body more, create loving relationships, up level in their careers and their prosperity. So it just continues.
All right. So tell us now. I'm ready for a system upgrade. How can people work with you? Where can we find you?
Yeah. So go to marciepeters.com. There is an age test. So you can take this little quiz and see what your true age is versus your biological age, because I don't agree that we have to be our biological age. As I mentioned before, you can be ageless, you can be youthful at any age. So take the true age quiz, and then you'll have an opportunity to work with me one-on-one in a consultation. So just check your emails and that opportunity will magically show up.
And just knowing Marcie on a personal level for the last, I guess not quite a year, almost a year now, I guess has been really interesting. She is so generous. You pour into people. And it's one of the things that I really admire about you, and it inspires me to be a better person. And so I know that, you know, whatever Marcie puts out there is going to be quality stuff, and it's stuff that she's really worked on for a long time. So yeah, I love that. So having said that, any last words that you want to wrap up with us today, Marcie?
Well, I want to say thank you to you, David, for taking this time and for being a yes when I asked you to interview me today so that everyone could get to know me better, and for being an amazing interviewer, seriously, and for, you know, really showing up. So thank you. And really, I want to just let everyone know that you can create what you want in your life. Even if you're nowhere close to where you want to be, you can create that. And an interesting thing in the journey is oftentimes what we think we want is not necessarily what we want. And that starts to shift as you do the inner work. And if you say you want X, you might realize, you know, actually, like, I want to make $1 million. You might realize, actually, that will come, but that's not the main thing. What I want is to feel significant. What I want is to make a difference, or whatever it is. So this work really is powerful, and you can create anything you want. You're the creator. So thank you.
I love that. And thank you. And I acknowledge you for creating the space for this, not only for interviewing me, but for trusting me and allowing me to interview you. It's been so much fun. Everybody out there, I mean, this cutting edge convention, the speakers and the content that Marcie has curated and the amount of work that has gone in the back end is really, really staggering. The Summit package, all 28 sets of videos, audios, and highlights for only $47. It's less than $2 per set. And there's so much work that has gone into it. Like I said, I've seen a little bit behind the curtain of what's going on. It really is amazing. I highly encourage you. Marcie, thank you again for creating the space for this for all of the world. And for all the viewers, thank you for joining us. It has been both of our pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us. I'm sending you a ton of love, light, and happiness.
Thank you for being part of the Cutting Edge Convention. We don't want you to miss a single valuable session. To have the entire event available to you at any time, purchase the package now before the event ends. That's when the price goes up. And watch your emails to get your next steps from Marcie.